Hey guys, my name's Sam, and recently I got second place at the Grimsby Regional with Artmage Fiendsmith. Before I begin the deck profile, a quick shout out to my locals in Hull called Archeron and all my friends who came with me from there, as well as Hakuna Matata for uh, giving me the opportunity to do this deck profile. So for the main deck, we'll start with 3 copies of Medius the Pure and 2 copies of Artmage Power Patron. Medius the Pure is your normal summon for the deck, your most important starter, gets you the Power Patron, which fuses into Deactorus, whilst also providing the Power Patron search to go off to grab the field spell or any spell trap you are missing as part of the combo. You can also special summon it from your graveyard, which comes up quite a lot, as sometimes the Fiendsmith engine will need your normal summon, and also you'll need to do it if you top deck a non-engine monster in a grind game. Next, for the monsters, I played 1 Graffler, 1 Latera, and 1 Finmel. These only ran at 1 because you only need them as ways to get to the end board, and your other starters, mostly your Medius and your Spell Trap starters, only require an additional Spell Trap to combo, whilst the Artmage monsters need another Artmage card on field in order to special summon, which you end up running less of in comparison to the Spell Traps. Graffler is the spell trap destruction. The Terror summons back any of your monsters that are removed, or the Power Patron for fusion plays, and Finmel acting as a Dark Ruler no more is all very impactful, especially into the Vanquish All Canine matchup. For spell traps, we start with 3 copies of the field spell, Acropolis, one of the best cards in the deck, gives you an additional normal summon of Medius if you have to normal something for your additional engine, and also lets you discard spell traps in order to search your Artmage cards, whilst also being an Artmage card on the field for the special summons of your Artmage monsters like Graffler. Next, I played 3 copies of Alteration. Varnish. This is the searcher for the deck, whilst also acting as 3 more copies of the field spell, which is super important. The attack negation effect in the graveyard comes up rarely, didn't cover the regional, but it's something it's important to have and important to be aware of playing the deck. Finally, for the last 3 off for the Artmage cards is Vandalism Assault. This is your media searcher, whilst also acting as a way to protect the field spell from destruction in order to keep the field spell for grind games and follow up. So if you draw a spell trap off for your turn, you have the field spell in order to continue extending, or if you draw a monster, you have the Medius engraved to keep extending. And for the one-offs, we play Succession, the fusion spell. If they try to negate your Power Patron going going second, you can use this as well as making the non-Artmage and Nerva fusion monsters, which I play a couple of. And finally, Awakening, crazy trap card that lets you summon any piece you're missing from your deck, whilst also not allowing your opponent to respond when you fusion summon, which allows the Power Patron and Nerva effects to go off to guarantee the board wipe, and the follow-up from the graveyard effect, destroying a card whilst also returning an Artmage to the hand, so you can summon it again to gain an additional effect. Next up, we have the Fiendsmith engine, which is 2 Engraver and 2 Fiendsmith Tract. I was originally on 1 Engraver or 3 Engraver, sorry, and 1 Tract, but decided I wanted more spell traps in the deck, whilst also have a better chance to play into draw. As a draw and Engraver, you can't really end on as much, as it's one of the key choke points for the deck. Whereas if you start with Tract, you can still make Caesar and have the Paradise set up with Lacrima and Requiem in the graveyard. Speaking of which, I also played the 1 Lacrima, as well as the 1 Lurie and the 1 Paradise. Paradise also being a spell trap that you can discard for the field spell is also quite important. And for certain fusion monsters, having the Lacrima on board after the Paradise play can be used as fusion material, also helps while retaining Artmage monsters in hand as follow-up. I chose to run the Fiendsmith engine over something like the Azamina or Branded engine, as it helped show up against the deck's weaknesses like Perulia and Nibiru, and in some cases draw Lockbird, and helped improve the deck's grind game apart from which used to be just a singular copy of Succession, but now the Fiendsmith cards giving you multiple players across multiple turns to help you last longer in grind games was also very important and win me some key games throughout the day. Finally, we play the non-engine cards, which we start with 3 copies of Ash Blossom and 3 copies of Fuelos. Ash Blossom is only here for the Mulch armies, especially Perulia, as these cards can, depending on your hand, end your turn. And a single copy of Ash Blossom will not do enough into certain decks and certain matchups. Like a 1 round against Malice, I only opened an Ash Blossom, and then they just full combo through the Ash Blossom, and I lost the game. And you need to play more higher impact non-engine like the Fuelos and like the Spell Trap lineup that I play, which also doubles up as discards for the field spell in case they are not needed going first or into certain boards. These spell traps start with Trouble Tactics Thrust, which is a really powerful card this format, especially with the Canine engine being so popular. Being able to search for engine as well as just setting like Awakening or Paradise in certain matchups, where if you don't get to full combo, you can access your traps as well, or setting follow-up if you have everything or they don't have a monster on board. Pairs really well with the next card I played, Dark Ruler. I wanted a card that was good into the Yummy and Vanquish All Canine end boards, going second, as a spell trap that was thrustable and discardable off of the field spell. And Dark Ruler more overperformed, being able to negate boards or the Xyz monsters that people made off of the Canine cards going first. And so I didn't get my board stolen with a Nash Knight was very impactful. And then the one-offs, we played 1 talent, again, really good this format, especially with the Canine engine, being able to take a Nash Knight or a Ripper that they make, doing a full combo, then linking it off at the end of the turn so they don't get it back, was very strong and was important for all, because I played most of my matches were against the Vanquish All deck. 1 core buy to stop Fuelos, Perulia, and Droll, and occasionally the one-off hand traps like Ash Blossom if the hand was slightly weaker, but that really rarely came up. Last card in the main deck I played was the Black Goat Laughs to bring it to 41 cards. I ran this card because I needed a thrust target that was generic for going first, that also had a good graveyard effect if it was hard drawn, so I could discard off the field spell and still have its effects live in the graveyard. And Black Goat Laughs overperformed, one example of which was declaring Snatchy against one of my Yummy matches in the last rounds in order to not prevent my opponent from comboing into my board to be able to go into a game 3. Next up, it's the extra deck. Once again, we'll start with the Artmage cards. 2 Diactoros, the on-field Omni-Negate, and which also floats into Medius the Pure if it's destroyed, which comes up sometimes. It came up against one of my Yumi matches where he couldn't OTK me because the special Medius was the extra body, and having an Omni-Negate on your end board is quite strong, especially for some of the more impactful plays like the Vanquish Soul normal summons, which were quite pesky to deal with without just hard negating them with Diactoros. 1 Nerva, the Power Patron of Creation. I only ended up summoning it once or twice on the day, but it was a very powerful card to have to just be able to threaten a full board wipe almost whenever you wanted to during the main phase. Sometimes in certain matches or in certain board states you don't want them to get to a point where it's impactful to Patron, which is why you, for the first succession target, you run Guardian Chimera. Just a similar thing to the Nerva, as you use monsters from the hand or field for both of the fusion summons for these, but being able to draw cards into more engine or non-engine for the following turn was very important, as well as being able to use the Patron affecting Grave to search a copy of the field spell, for example, for a follow-up turn if my board was cleared. The last fusion I played was the Azamina Ilia Sylvia. This can be made off succession using Patron and Litera in matchups where a negate is more preferable into destruction, such as Vanquish All matchups, if they've already got the field spell established and you're unable to use the Graffler effect to destroy it. Came up a couple of times and was able to negate the talents or thrust that my opponent had to try and break the rest of my board. For the Fiendsmith cards, I played the one Necrocrypt, the one Desiree, and the one Caesar. I played the one Moon, the one Requiem, the one Sequence, and the one Agnum Day. All these cards are fairly standard. I wasn't going to play Moon originally, but in certain situations where you have Medius that's negated and an Artmage card on board, and you haven't used the field spell search effect yet, you can just link them into a Moon and then go full Fiendsmith combo from there. And that came up a couple of times throughout the day with some subpar hands that I ended up drawing, where I just drew too many patrons or too many Mediuses in my hand. That allowed me to access both engines was quite strong, and the Desiree Agnum Day combo to be able to push for damage in turn 3 won me a number of games today, just because of how it plus any high attack monster such as Finmel, Caesar, or Diatros was OTK through an empty board. Lastly, the generic extra deck monsters are one SP Little Knight. You can link off a Fiendsmith Link or Fusion plus an Artmage Fusion that's been spent into this in order to remove pesky cards like Vanquish or Follow Up Engrave from Rock, or field spells of certain decks as well was also important, plus giving you the ability to blink certain monsters in certain matchups and grind games was also super impactful. The one Typhon summoned it a lot in testing, didn't summon a lot on the day. You can do your full combo going second and then use like a Latera, use one of your spare monsters like a Diactorus that's negated something. Or if you play your attributes right, maybe an Engraver or with a equipped with the Sequence in order to make this to help push for more damage and just turn off pesky effects. And lastly, the one Chaos Angel really works well with the Fiendsmith cards with Lacrima and Engraver, but also works with Medius being a level 4 to synchro with the Lacrima and the Engraver, and also Latera and Finmel are a 3 and a 7 light, so they can also make it, and then you can synchro them off into a Chaos Angel, banish something, use Succession to recycle them to be able to summon them for the field spell, and then get more advantage that way. Finally, the side deck. We played 3 Lancia. Very, very powerful card for Malice. You have to respect the matchup. And my only loss on the day was round 3 against Malice because I ended up not drawing any non-engine game 3, only seeing Artmage cards, and the Artmage engine can't play through the full Malice board. But not playing this card makes the Malice matchup really, really difficult, and you don't want to do that to yourself, especially in an event such as a regional. Next, I played 3 Sphere modes. This was very important for playing against Lunalight, as well as breaking Yumi and Vanquishal boards when paired with this next cards. 3 Lightning Storm and 1 Harpy's Feather Duster. Being able to Duster or Storm the Yumi back row or the Vanquishal back row to force out the surprise or the summon trap off of Vanquishal in order to get more value off of your Sphere mode was very important. It won me a game 3 against Yumi in the second to last round, and just being able to clear the board because otherwise the deck could struggle playing through the surprise and the extra small follow up that the opponent makes and the disruptions of bringing back the synchro. For going first, I played 3 Solemn Warning. Is the Solemn that a lot of people play in this format for Yumi, for Vanquishal, and was almost always siding this in going first. And for matchups where you didn't side out the Dark Ruler no more for going first, such as matchups that weren't Vanquishal Canine, I played 3 Solemn Judgment as an extra Solemn to deal with board breakers and to deal with other more annoying summons and spell traps that the certain decks played, such as some of the one of my Vanquishal opponents I think was on the Book of Moon trap, so being able to have this for that potentially was quite important. So that's the deck profile. Overall, really enjoyed the deck. All the cards came up at least once, more than once, in testing and on the day. Very powerful engine, very fun deck to play. Really excited about the lore and where future support may take the deck. I hope you enjoyed the deck profile, and I hope you had fun playing this deck. Once again, big shout out to Hakuna Matata for being able to put out this deck profile for me. And I recommend, if you have the cards, to try this deck out and explore with the different engines as well, because it can be paired with quite a lot, especially the new Gem Knight stuff in NA is something I'm excited to try. And yeah, hope you enjoyed and hope you have some fun with this deck. Thank you.